Hello, Sal.
Hey, how are ya?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah,
Um,
not too bad, thank you.
oh, hang on. I better set the timer. You know what? I also what episode is this?
I think we're at 9.
9.
I think. Don't
Okay.
quote me, but I
I'll
think
go
we're at
I'll go
9.
back and double check. Do we even remember how to do this? It feels like it's been
Oh, 2 weeks off and it seems unfamiliar. No, I think we're at 9, yeah.
yeah, cool. Have you been? What's been
Yeah.
happening?
Should we do the thanks to the
We
sponsors?
should. We should. See, this is why you should be the one in charge.
No,
Like,
no.
I think we've both got our Kojo coffee cup.
Yeah, we have.
Mine's actually got have you ever heard of the Switch nutrition brand? It's got the adrenal in it, which is like a calming, like it's got magnesium, ashwagandha. It's kind of like a nighttime drink, but I just needed something warm now that didn't really have any calories in it just to get some warmth. So I'm going out for dinner tonight with Kane, and I'm probably just going to be like, the whole
All
time.
zen.
What's in yours? What have you got?
I've actually got protein water.
Yeah.
Getting my protein in through protein water. And I was like, oh, but I put everything in this cup now.
We're
Every
so fun. We're so exciting.
small things, small things.
I love it. I love it. So yeah,
No.
thanks to Kojo Coffee, one of our sponsors, and Fernwood Salisbury, our other sponsor. Yeah. So what's been happening?
The last 2 weeks for me have been really, I guess, quiet in a sense. So this week just gone, had a bit of a slow week. Just navigating some little issues that I had to overcome. So just took some time off and to focus on that. Which has been, again, one of those things, it's good for you, but it's hard to accept and get through because you know how our brains work. We just want to be doing all the things we think we should, but in a sense, our body does need a little bit of a break. But in saying that, I actually haven't felt too bad this week, so that's been nice. And the week before was a bit of the same, bit of a quiet week, a little bit of a step back because I had the back issues, which actually put me out quite a bit. That was not a fun time. But yeah, apart from that, my weeks have been pretty quiet. There's not really a lot to, I guess, dive into in my weeks. But yeah, like I think just being kind to myself the last 2 weeks, and I think knowing my own limitations and doing what I know I can and can't do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because not last weekend, but the weekend before, because that was your little one's birthday party, and I rocked up, and your back was not too good.
Nope.
Um,
Could barely walk.
so so I actually got Sally, just for anyone who's listening, I got Sally on the couch. I was like, right, let's release off your glutes, let's do some work. The benefits of having a friend who's a massage therapist. But yeah, like that 2 weeks for you, and then yeah, this week you've had to take it easy a bit as well. And I know, like, this is for anyone who is worried about like having a week off or even having 2 weeks off because of sickness, injury, things going on. Like, it's normal to feel that guilt, even though you logically know that it's not going to set you back that far. And I think, for you, Sally, like, like you know the logic behind it. I know the logic behind it, but you still get that bit of guilt, and you still feel like you should, be pushing, and it might be setting you back.
Yeah.
But I spoke about this. I think I spoke about it in an Instagram story, that you've got to really look at your fitness, your health, your strength, all of those goals as though you're just building this tower of feathers. You could call them habits, you could call them whatever. So, like, think about when you've got your goals, your things that you want to achieve. And for you, you want to step up on stage next year and present the best possible physique that you can. For somebody else, they might want to, you know, lose a bit of weight. For another person, they might want to gain weight. It's whatever goals you're working towards. It's all about putting these feathers on the pile, right? So little habits, small things that you do consistently to build this tower of feathers that I like to say. But you've also got to, you know, look at it on the flip side, because you are going to have weeks, you are going to have days where it's not going to be perfect. You're not going to be able to do all of your sessions. And if you imagine it on the flip side, that when that happens, all you're doing is taking 1, 2, maybe even 5 feathers off the tower. But it doesn't mean that you can't put them back on the tower when the time is right. Because if you don't do the right thing, let's say you just push through your back injury, you just push through what you shouldn't have been pushing through this week, instead of maybe taking 5 feathers off the tower, you might have taken every feather off the tower because you put yourself back so far by not showing yourself kindness and actually being smart about it. So I think that's really important for everybody to understand, not just, you know, us, not just bodybuilders, not just, you know, high level athletes or anything like that, but the average person, like, you know, life gets in the way.
Yeah. 100%. And I think, again, in hand with that, it just comes into that reframing that we'll touch a bit more based on next week. But, you know, like I looked at it as, okay, you know, that week with my back, like I was cutting myself up because I was just like, I can't believe this. But at the same time, I was like, you know what? Look at the positives to it. It's giving my body a bit of a rest that my body needed. And do you know what? I'm in my build phase. So it came at the right time. It could have been in my cut phase, which would have been a bit more harder for me to digest, but it came in my build phase. So I was like, okay, well, that's the positives to it. So I'm going to run with those.
Yeah. You've got
Yeah.
leeway. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we're trying to gain at the moment. And okay, so you had a couple of weeks off. Like, we're still, I think you're still like 46 weeks away from stepping
Yeah.
up on
Yeah.
stage. We're still 20 weeks away from hitting prep for you. So,
Yeah.
you know, and you've worked really, really hard up until this point. Probably
Yeah.
hence the reason that the back became an issue. And Sal and I have talked about this, and this is something that I feel is really important as well, is prehab is more important than rehab. It's more important than your training. So if you're expecting to just smash your body day in and day out and for your body just to take it, you're going to end up being very disappointed. And I say at the end of my classes, this is not enough stretching for the work that you have just done. You need to do more outside of this. And if you're strength training, if you're doing high impact classes, high intensity classes, you should be foam rolling, you should be stretching, not just when you get sore, but every single freaking day.
Yeah, and look, I did get a bit slack with that. Definitely my foam rolling, my stretching I was okay with, but my foam rolling kind of just didn't even happen for a while there. And yeah, I paid the price, but I've actually been doing it every day. Even if I don't work out, I get up, I do my foam rolling, my stretches, a bit of yoga, and it's been really good for my body. So
Yes.
yeah.
So that's a Sally.
We live and we learn, right?
That's
I learned
okay.
from my mistake.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all
But
good.
yeah, what about your last 2 weeks, hey?
Oh man, do you know what? Oh, actually, I'm starting to come good now. This week has been a struggle. So it's you know, it's funny because I think everybody sort of around me has sort of thought, oh, well, comp's over. Like, she's going to just be back to her normal self, back to everything. And, you know, like, no disrespect to anybody who's expected anything of me this week. But I don't think that the people sort of around have understood that, like, this week I've got nothing left in the tank. And I mean, ultimately, like, you got to think about it in prep. When you're lean and when you're dieting, you have a goal in mind, right? And you're thinking about, everything that you're doing leading up to you stepping on stage with the best physique that you could possibly present. And everything that you're doing literally is driving you towards that. So being hungry is like a sign of I'm lean, it's a sign of I'm closer to what I need to be at in order to step up on stage with the best physique possible. Once comps are all done, it's no longer productive to be lean anymore. Like you're just lean, and it's, yes, I'm thinking about, next comp season, but that's not going to be until say this time next year, right? So now I'm just lean with nothing driving me, with no adrenaline, with no, like, literally I'm just lean and tired. And so this week I've actually really struggled, like, because I'm still lean, my energy levels are still depleted. And ultimately the goal right now is just to gain some body fat, like, as quickly as possible, just so that I can get out of this hole. I've already gained a little bit, which I'm starting to now feel so much better. Like, I trained yesterday and I trained today, and for the first time in weeks, maybe even months, I actually felt like myself again. Like I was out of the haze, getting stronger, pushing heavier weights. So I think next week's going to be different. But look, I won't lie, I've gone over my macros every single day this week. I've forgotten to check in a couple of times. Just, but again, like, it's that being kind to yourself. And I spoke to you about it as well. And, I just felt that my body, my mind just needed that little bit extra, and I wasn't going to be doing any damage. Like, I know that I can pull the reins in when I need to. It wasn't emotional. It was it was completely physiological. So I was able to identify that, and it wasn't like, going crazy, like binging and, going and eating McDonald's or cakes, or like, it was literally just extra rice cakes or an extra serving of like my protein crispies and protein powder. Like, it was, it was
Still in the
physiological.
macro form.
Yeah. So, but like, my house is a shitstorm. The kids have just like gone to their dad's this afternoon, and I honestly I don't even know where to start with this house, but
you need that fairy.
I know, where is she? The bitch didn't.
She doesn't come here either. She doesn't come here either. Don't worry. Maybe we're on the bad list.
I mean, I don't exactly pay her, so, but maybe if she showed up, I would. I don't know.
Oh no. So with your, like, maybe if we can dive into a bit of like what exactly those feelings were after coming off of comp, and how you managed to say, like you said, you had a little bit extra macros. How did you mind manage that? So, as bodybuilders, we overthink what we're eating and overthink, oh, should I, shouldn't I? How did you overcome that? What strategies did you use? Like,
Oh, that's a good question.
or was it that you just didn't overthink it this time and
I
just
didn't overthink it.
Yeah.
Actually, to be honest, I didn't really have to use too many strategies. Like, I checked in with my coach on Thursday and just told him sort of where I was at and what had been happening, and he was like, it's not really a big deal. I wasn't feeling any guilt anyway.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, okay, maybe is this a little bit overboard, but there was no guilt as such associated with it, which kind of also helped me to feel a little bit more in control as well. And rather than going from like, I've just had a bit extra, to I've completely just gone absolutely mental. I think that's the difference there. I think if I had got all emotional about it, it could have gotten really out of hand. It could have probably been really damaging and really bad.
Yeah.
But I knew that, like, I knew logically the goal at the moment is anyway to put on body fat. Like, coach wants me to get up to like 61 kilos, like within, a few weeks of being up on stage. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't really overthink it this time, which was nice, which was good.
No, that's good. That shows growth. Yeah,
Yeah.
most definitely.
But it was definitely a crazy few weeks. I've got all of my trophies are at work, but I've got this here.
Yay!
I got my pro card through MBA. So yeah, it was amazing. So what we did our last one after ICN state titles, is that correct? I think it is.
Was it, or was it after? I think the last two we haven't done. Is that right? Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
that would
so
have been, yeah.
it was after ICN state
Yeah.
titles. So since then, we've had the NBA Nationals, which is Natural Bodybuilding Australia. And then last weekend, so the weekend just gone, was the ICN Naturals. So for anyone who's, not in the bodybuilding world, you've got different federations, so different competitions. So you've got in the natural scene, there's quite a few of them. You've got ICN, you've got NBA, you've got one that's called OCB, IFBB are now bringing out naturals this year. Then you've got like Miss Fitness. There's quite a few natural
ENP,
federations.
yeah.
So for anyone who doesn't know what I mean by natural, that means that it is tested and you are not permitted to use banned substances. So if you are caught in most of those federations having used banned substances, most of them is a lifetime ban. So you're named and shamed and it's a lifetime ban. When you've got untested federations, what that basically means is probably a lot of the competitors are enhanced in some way. So whether that be like maybe taking testosterone or steroids or injecting L-carnitine but just, basically enhanced in some way. So that's the difference between natural and enhanced or untested federations. And so what you'll tend to find is the untested federations, they'll be bigger, they'll be leaner, because basically, as a natural competitor, there is a limit to how big you can get, how much muscle you can build. So, myself and you also, we compete in natural federations. NBA was the first one, and that was in Sydney. That was just, it was crazy. So the comp was on
Saturday?
Sunday or the Saturday?
Oh no, Sunday. That one was Sunday because the last one was
and the last one was on Sunday. Yeah. So I was flying out the day before, and I was meant to fly out at 6 a.m. and my tanning appointment was at 1:30 p.m. So great, perfect. And registration was at the same place as the tanning appointment. So I rocked up for my flight, and then my flight was delayed by, I think at first they said an hour. And then it got delayed by 2 hours. And then it was meant to fly out at 11:30. Then I started heading there and looked at the board, and the board said 12:30. So we ended up flying out, I reckon it was at about 1:45 in the afternoon.
Yeah, wow.
So I was at the airport from like 5 o'clock in the morning till nearly 2 o'clock waiting for my flight.
Couch surfing.
So obviously I missed my tanning appointment. But so this really blew me away. So I was there at the airport, and obviously, like, you start panicking, right? Like I've trained and prepared for this competition for 12 months or more. And to find out that my flight's getting delayed, I'm not going to make it to my tanning appointment, I might miss registration. I was like, I've got I can't control anything. Like I can't book another flight. I can't, because they didn't give us any answers and my luggage was already checked in. And I was just like, what the F am I going to do? And as you do, I put a story up on Instagram about being delayed. And Stu, who is one of the directors and the head judge for NBA, like upstanding man. Have you met him?
I have met him once. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have. Yeah, incredible man. Yeah, a very incredible man.
So
just so genuine.
So he saw my story. I didn't reach out to him. I reached out to my coach, of course, and just like kept him updated. And then next thing I get a DM on Instagram from Stu saying, hey, is everything okay? Like, are you all right? And I just wrote back and I was just like, I don't even know if I'm going to get there, Stu. Like, I'm going to miss my tanning appointment. I'm probably going to miss registration. Like, I don't know what to do. And he simply just wrote back, we've got you. And I was like, yeah, but like, I'm missing all my appointments and stuff. And he was just like, do you know what? Worst case scenario, we tan you first thing in the morning at the venue. I'll get MG to check you in. I'll get him to do all of your stuff there. Like, we've got you. Whatever time you get here, you get here. And it was just like, I went from up here to down here, calm, cool, collected, like instantly.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, a stressed out body on stage is not a good look.
Yeah.
Mental stress will actually really impact the way your physique looks on stage.
100. Yeah.
100%. Cortisol levels spike, inflammation spikes in the body. The biggest area that we notice it in with me is my quads. So when I get stressed out or my body's inflamed, like I lose lines in my quads. It's crazy. So like, for example, when I had that week off when we all had influenza B, at the end of that week, after having a week off, my legs look sharper than they did 2 weeks prior to, because I was resting, not doing much, and just not rushing around everywhere. So all the cortisol had basically dropped, and so my legs look sharper. So yeah, as soon as he sent that through, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna roll with it. The reality is I love airports. Everything to do with going and flying, apart from going through security, because I've just I always get anxiety when I'm going through security.
Me too. I don't know why.
Anytime I go out of a shop and there's a security guard standing at the door of the shop, I get anxiety. And I try to make sure I don't look like I'm doing anything wrong. And when I'm going through security, I try and look like I'm not doing anything wrong and there's nothing wrong with anything in my suitcase, that I'm like, as I go through.
Same as when you get pulled over and you're like, all and they're probably thinking, okay, what's she hiding?
See, I don't get I'm not saying that, because touch wood. If I see a police car, right, I'm looking straight ahead. I'm not looking at my phone. I don't even look at my phone when I'm driving, but I just make a point of I'm holding onto the steering wheel with both handles. There's nothing to see here. And I get anxiety.
Oh, funny.
But once I'm through security, I love airports. I love planes. I love flying. I love all of those things. So I was able to enjoy that time. And I bought the Mel Robbins book, Let Them.
Yep.
Which was a really great book for me to be reading on that day as well. So it really helped my mental health on that day. And I got in and went straight to where they had the registration and tanning. It was literally towards the end of the day. I was one of the last people to get tan on the day, but they were still going at 7:30, 8 o'clock. Take my hat off to the tanners, doing that, and feel sorry for the poor things, looking at basically naked people for the entire day, because It's so funny now. Like, I remember from my very first comp where I'm like, you want me to stand like butt naked in front
Naked.
of you
Yeah.
and turn around and bend over.
Bend forward. Yeah.
Now I'm just like, just do me,
Yeah.
turn around, bend over. You're in between your bloody butt and everything like that. And it's kind of like it's
Once you've done
just
it once.
once you've done it once, yeah. So yeah, I got my tan done, and then because they were finishing up, they all gave me a lift back to my hotel as well, which was going to be like another 40 minutes. And, you know, in an Uber, I didn't really want to have to do that.
Yeah.
So stayed at the Bankstown Hotel, which was tiny. My friend Alicia was meant to come with me, and in some ways I'm glad that she did it, because it was like a shoebox. It was so small. But it was okay. It was just noisy. It was like right on the street, except I realized the second night that I had forgotten to close the windows. So it probably would have been much. Didn't even think of that. But yeah, woke up looking good, looking the best that I'd looked up until that point. And just like, it was the best day. It was the best day. Went and got, the venue was amazing. Except I rocked up. So in WA, anywhere that's a licensed venue, you literally cannot even enter if you don't have ID.
Oh, wow.
And before I left to go get my stuff done, I and ahed. I was like, do I need my wallet? No, I don't. And I made a conscious decision to leave my wallet at the hotel. And I've walked in just on time for my hair and makeup appointment. No, I need your ID. They would not let me in.
Oh.
So I got to the point where I was just like, what can I show you? Like, so I ended up showing them my Centrelink login with my address, and then I had to show like a photo of my, like, it was just ridiculous, but that's their rules. So, you know,
Yep.
so I managed to get there for my hair and makeup. The day was amazing. Like, I got to compete alongside, there was a few girls there, and Lani was one of them, and I can't for the life of me remember the other girl's name, but just like the camaraderie between us figure girls was just so good. We had so much fun on stage. Like, you know, we went out for the first one, and I could see Lani, she was shaking, and I said to her, babe, I'm shaking too. Like, as we're doing our quarter turns, I'm like, it's okay, breathe, relax. Like, if it makes you feel any better, I'm shaking like crazy too. And so we're having a little chat as we're doing our quarter turns. Like, it was, yeah. You know, the NBA directors backstage running around, helping out. Maddie, who's a part of Team TMG, was helping with my pump up. Scotty was helping. Just, yeah, like, winning was amazing. But the experience of the day, like, just, yeah. Like, I'm lost for words as to how great it was.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously winning was amazing. Going pro, getting a double pro was fantastic. And then, you know, I got to go straight into the pro show. And I won't lie, by that stage, I'd been on stage like 6 or 7 times. Like, in the last one, I worked my ass off and I was sweating like crazy. And then I went off stage and like literally was straight back on for the pro show with Marika. And Marika had only been on for the pro show for Figure International and then for the pro show for Figure. So she was like fresh as a daisy. And I was like, you know, because Marika is, anyone who knows of Marika, she's epic. And it was an honor to be, you know, standing side by side on stage with her. But I remember sort of just before I was about to go out, I was like, there's no way I'm going to, in my mind, I was like, there's no way I'm going to beat Marika. And it wasn't me being negative. Like, it was just, it was reality, right?
Yeah.
If you've seen Marika, like, you've seen the lats on that woman, the glutes on that woman. Like, when
her glutes are banging.
When I say she's epic, like, she's, excuse my language, she's fucking epic.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, okay, I know I'm not going to win this. I know that I'm going to basically get second place here. But I said to myself, but you don't need to act like it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to bring it and I'm going to give it my absolute all. I knew Marika was going to win. I knew she was going to win. That, like, there was no doubt to that. But I was like, I'm not going to act like it though.
Yeah.
Because when I get those stage photos back, when I get, all of that back, I want to know that even though, she's been pro for all this time and she, like I said, she's epic. She's got more muscle maturity over me. She's older than me. She's like, she just looks insane. I just wanted to make sure that I still gave it what it deserved and really just made the most of that moment. So I was more than happy to come second in the pro show. Like I was in the pro show. For me, that was huge. But yeah, standing beside Marika, like it was an absolute honor. Like at the risk of sounding cheesy, like it was truly an honor.
Yeah.
So I hung around, watched a few of the other girls, and then it ran quite late. Just there was a lot of competitors, and it was a big show for this season. And I ended up packing up and heading off. I reckon it was like sometime around 8-ish, and I'd been there since 6 a.m. So it was a long day. And went back to my hotel, walked back. So did the suitcase all the way back. It wasn't that far. It was only like maybe a K or so. And I was just about to get into the shower, and then MG called and he's like, hey, so our medal presenters need to go home. Is there any chance you can come back and present medals? I'm like, sure, I'll just get changed, have something to eat, and then I'll be back.
Yeah.
And then me being me, I got lost. I walked back and then I ended up in like residential streets of freaking Bankstown, which anyone who knows Bankstown, and I didn't know Bankstown, you don't really want to be on your own in the middle of the night. Well, it wasn't middle of the night, it was like 8:30, but felt like it.
Felt like the middle of the night.
The residential streets of Bankstown. So I went into a little bit of a panic and I was like, no, took some deep breaths, calmed myself. I was like, worst case scenario, I can get an Uber. But I found my way back. Google Maps when walking, Sally.
Have you not done it before?
I've done it so many times and I always get lost. I'm serious. I'm not shitting you. In my car, Google Maps, I can get anywhere. Whilst walking, I don't know what it is. I've been lost so many times, Google Maps while walking. So the point where Kane and I were in Perth last weekend, and he was like, all right, we're going to go and find such and such. And I was like, you do Google Maps. I'm not doing it. Like, I refuse to do it. I would just walk around and sniff for coffee before I'll do Google Maps while walking again. I will get lost.
Follow the coffee shops.
If you're ever with me and we're walking, we don't know where we're going, you're the one that's getting out Google Maps because
done.
I'll just get lost.
I'm not too bad with Google Maps, so I'll take that one. And I think a big takeaway, like from some of the stuff you said, is, we often think about how our mindset goes and just the environment that we're in can change so much of that. So, saying how when Stu reached out and I think this is what makes NBA so amazing is they actually just care so much about each individual. And what an environment to be a part of. Like, seriously, like what an environment to enter into. Like,
I'm so proud to be an NBA pro.
Yeah.
So proud.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because actually, how we did up those anonymous messages?
Oh, yeah.
Someone actually asked, is there anything I regret about competing this season? I don't regret anything, but I kind of wish that the NBA comp was where I finished my season.
Yeah.
just not because of the result. It had nothing to do with the result.
Yeah.
It was the experience. Like, that to me was the pinnacle. It was
Yeah.
such a high. It was the most incredible day with the most incredible people. I feel like maybe I could have just finished there. 4 comps was a lot.
Yeah,
Probably too much.
that is a
Probably
lot of
too
comps,
much.
yeah.
But having said that, last weekend, ICN Nationals, I brought my best physique.
Yeah.
Like, it was the best that I had looked in the entire season.
And I think that's
Yeah,
what you need to, you know, like you said, that was the best you've
that's
been.
all we got
So
time for.
see, it goes so quick. But no, like, yeah, you looked phenomenal. You really did. And you know
We
that.
can expand on that next week.
Yeah, it goes so quick. Until
I
next
know.
time.
Until next time.
Yeah.
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 Well, that's us done for this week.
Woohoo.
What's on for you next week?
Back to full-time training. So got a obviously a couple more weeks in the build, which I just want to give it everything I've got for this last few weeks that I'm in it. And yeah, just go hard for this last couple of weeks and into the next stage.
Nice.
So excited.
Nice. Yeah. I'm just going to keep recovering, keep putting on some body fat.
Yeah.
I'm so done with being comp lean. That's another thing, like, our listeners, like, especially if you're not in the bodybuilding space, like, comp lean should be temporary. It's not something you should like as your goal to
Ew.
be permanently. Like,
You can't. There's
yeah,
no way you can maintain that. Like it
nah,
mentally, body, like your body shouldn't want to maintain that. It's not good for your body to
nah,
maintain that for longer than you need
nah,
to for comps. Yeah.
nah. And do you know what? I don't want to, because
Mm,
like, as I started to feel a bit better training, I'm like, I just want to get stronger, and I can't get stronger and maintain this level of leanness, for
yeah.
starters. Do you want to know the other thing though? Is, like, even yesterday I went to scratch my leg, like, just because this tan is freaking horrible. Like, it gets so
Oh
itchy
yeah.
as it's coming off. And it's just hard. I just and I'm like,
Muscular.
ugh. I just want it to be a little bit softer.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get that.
So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to, yeah, just getting a bit softer and getting a bit of body fat on and training like a freaking beast, because I'm not going smaller. Like, at ICN, I was the most muscular person on that stage, and I'm not changing that.
Yeah.
I'm going
No, good.
bigger.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yay.
All right. Well, that's us done, guys. Thanks for
All right.
listening.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Don't forget to check it out, like, share,
And
subscribe,
subscribe.
follow.
It only counts if you subscribe. So please subscribe, support us.
Yes, thank you.
Please.
Appreciate it.
I actually begged my coach for more food this week. I said, pretty please.
Do you
So
know what?
pretty please subscribe.
Yes, please. If we can ask you one thing this week, subscribe.
Yeah.
All right,
Thanks
guys.
to our sponsors.
Thank
Benwood,
you.
Koja Coffee, and thanks
Yep.
to you guys.
And
we're
see you
done.
next week. Yep.
See you next week.